The following program contains adult content and may not be suitable for some children.
Fuck John Fox.
I see the director's walking in here and he's carrying a big stick. Hey, Jack, what's with the stick? Oh! This program has some violence in it, too.
You know, I mean, you know, leave it at that.
Cheers, Bears fans! This is Beers 100 Proof. I am Aldo Gandia, your host. But don't worry, the stars of this nightclub act, Draft Dr. Philip Toshin and Shane, the smartest man in the barroom, are here. And we heard John Fox getting his ass kicked in the open. And I know some of you barflies are saying, oh no, they're going to spend 2 hours bitching and moaning about John Fox. No. I promise, we won't. It'll be more like an hour and a half. And to begin our bitching session, I play for you the number one song on the Billboard's Fire NFL Coaches hit list, Fire John Fox by Draft Dr. Phil Atoshin.
Yo, MC Fulfill, bringing it back for the Bears bar room and the Barflies. Yeah. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Mumbling, grumbling, hammering, fumbling, stumbling. Coach John Fox, another presser fan, humbling. Over and over and arrogant. Coach does it again. A typical line to cover a team with no plan. Hopes are dashed with another lost season. Was it Pace who hired Fox or was it ownership's reasons? Questions fill up but no straight answers ever given. When it comes to state of the Bears in the 80s still living. Who the fuck is Mike Glennon? The barroom kept asking. An open competition, giraffe gaff never happened. Laughing all the way to the bank. Kept putting Glennon on the field to start, but he stank. Coaching negligence with more drops than Josh Bellamy. Fans so used to losing cost of tickets is the felon. Timeouts used only to get delayed penalties. Another great week of practice will be the remedy. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. John Fox confused the close call against the challenge. 2017 virtual snaps at Hallis. Glennon's still a captain, opposing teams laughing. You laughed at Buck fumble, now the knee pass happened. Conservative approach, finally playing the gunslinger. Keep him cuffed, young Buck, Fox stupidity lingers. First win on the road in over 2 seasons. Almost gave the game away if Howard doesn't trust Ravens. Day to day, of course, a frequent line he likes to throw. 10 minutes later, the player's done per rappaport. Coach Fox, arrogant, he's 11-27. This is the coach you hired. In 3 years, he's worse than Trestman. Testing, 1-2, a joke on Espin. Fire John Fox would beat the Bears' best win. Down the field turf, stop adding up slip counts. Get Fox the pink slip to the curb, we kick out. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Fire John Fox, not a plan but an anthem. Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Yeah. Fire John Fox. Fire John Fox, fire plan, fire Bears bar room sending a message to the fandom. Fire Fox, 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 fire John Fox, fire John Fox, yeah. Fire John Fox. Just fire that motherfucker. Shout out to my boy, the smartest man in the bar room. Draft Dr. And who can forget the Godfather, Aldo Gandia, the barkeep. Firefox. Hashtag that up. Make it happen. Barflies unite!
And the Grammy goes to...
Draft Dr. Phil Atosho! I knew you were going to win, Phil. Get up there, man. Get on up here. Make your speech. Get up here. Phil, get on up here. Get on up here. Make your speech, brother. Come on, bro.
you better adjust that mic and put it down so we can see him.
That was
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, man. I gotta
Okay,
tell you, every
beautiful.
time I play that song, I like it a little bit more and a little bit more. You know, when I like music, I will like play it over and over and over and over again, and like a month or two later, I'll be sick of the song. I still got about another month and a half before I'll be sick of the song, man. I love that song. It's great. Good job, man. Go ahead and make your acceptance speech, because I know you're gonna win a Grammy someday.
Well, I just want to thank my boys at the bar room again for inspiring me to come out of retirement like I did on the field and get behind the mic. Other than talking about the Bears, let's sing and rap and go to my roots of hip hop, mother hip hop, which I believe in is a culture, and creativity coming in here really brings this bar room to a unique and unduplicatable creativity and a show. So there's a lot of imitators out there and there's a lot of frauds. It's up to you, and I believe the fan and the Barflies know and have been growing and supporting this show and venture, as well as the two of you gentlemen who have been absolutely amazing in helping get this Bears Barroom Fire John Fox, and now we're just gonna keep pumping out hits, Aldo. That's our goal.
Well, you got another one tonight. Tell the fans, give it a little tease as to what they are going to hear in about an hour or so.
Well, again, Aldo Gandia, the barkeep. Shout out to the Godfather. Just inspiring. I said, let's just make a couple songs for segments so you don't have to like do anything other. Just play the song, get the segment. And then as I was thinking about it, the creativity starts flowing, and I put everything together on this one. The beat, the music, the hooks, the singing. And it just came together. It was just gonna be a little, I would say, 6 bars to introduce the segment, but Bear Up and Bear Down is gonna have a special delivery, as Shane Marsaw is in his day job, the mailman.
Yeah, I got to tell you 2 things. Number one, when you say bars, all I think about is drinks. So 6 bars, I don't know what the hell that is. And then secondly, it sounds to me like I've become your muse. And so that begs the question, is Shane like a groupie now or something like that?
I know, I'm not used to him giving me ever a compliment, so I think I relished in that like a hot dog in Chicago.
Shane,
You're still not getting one, Phil.
Shane, how many times
Now,
have
the
you...
Barflies, too, Aldo, have been
yeah.
so tremendous. I mean, the support and the videos and the showcase from their kids all the way up has been tremendous. And you know, even George T. Ray down south sending it out to his peeps everywhere and across the seas and the ponds have been rocking out with their cocks out to Fire John Fox.
Guys, we have so many things to talk about tonight. I wish that it was a 3-hour show, but it's not. We're going to keep it under 2 hours tonight. Oh, gosh, we got so many things to cover. So let's begin. I want to bring Shane in here and ask him, what are your thoughts overall in the first half of the season? Are you satisfied with a 3-5 record? Or are you disappointed? Just give me some overall thoughts, and then, because I got to keep the streak going, or the first question going to you, especially since the first 10 minutes of the show were devoted to Phil.
I just had to pick myself up off the floor, Aldo. I actually was just scanning Twitter when Phil went off, and I think you responded to the tweet that I'm going to bring up about why would we fire John Fox? Because the Bears are competitive this year. We just saw that. It gives you a live tweet. I said, oh my goodness.
Someone said that.
Yeah.
Somebody who follows the division.
Aldo invited him to listen to our podcast, so maybe he should tune in and we can inform him a little bit better about
Is that the blog, the Bears blog?
No.
The hypocrite.
No, this to get back to your question, Aldo, this 2017 season, it's a little bit of what that tweet, we were just making fun of that guy tweeting out about Fox. A little bit of it is true. I mean, the Bears are a competitive team. I think all of us here expected them to be. Kind of got behind the 8 ball a little bit with the way that they started with Mike Glennon, rather than putting the kid in there early. But, there's a lot to be really, really excited about moving forward. I think we all expected this defense to be better. I don't think we expected it to be quite at the level that it is right now, and it seems to be still trending upward. Even, in the takeaway department, I said one thing that gets overlooked in that Saints game last week was when they absolutely needed to make a play and take the ball away, you saw them do that just to give the offense couldn't get anything going, unfortunately. But, you saw Eddie Jackson and Adrian Amos and guys like that stepping up and still making plays. And you have to start somewhere with that. And last year we just saw that huge, hole in the defense with the lack of takeaways. And we're seeing a little bit difference on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to that this year. But the biggest thing that I'm excited about is the quarterback, and that really trumps absolutely everything for me moving forward, because I said years past when Cutler went down, you were never turning the reins over to a guy that had any shot to be the next guy. You're turning it over to a Brian Hoyer or to a Todd Collins or to a Caleb Haney. All these guys we knew never had any shot to be here. And, with Mitch Trubisky, he's a guy that's hopefully going to be here for the next 10, 12, 15 years. So that's a huge positive in itself. But on the other side of the coin, it's this coaching staff on the offensive side and the head coach that really, dampen these hot flames that are burning on the defensive side of the ball. And it just kind of takes the wind out of your sails a little bit to see the repeated mistakes week after week and really series to series and down to down. And we saw that play right out in front of our eyes, especially in the Saints game last week.
Phil, get on a plane, fly 30,000 feet above Soldier Field, Hallis Hall, and tell me what you see from that distance about this first half of the Chicago Bears season. Give me a big picture about what's happening with this organization, what's happening with this team, and how you assess things. Go ahead.
Well, I'm disappointed, and I'm always the loudest and
good for you.
most vocal, I believe, here next to Aldo when it comes to the reality of the truth is my famous line. Sandy Tom is taking a shot right now in Scotland. How about that, Shane?
Aberdeen.
Got it right.
I'll tell you a tale of the salty sea.
Aberdeen. Shout out to my peeps in Aberdeen. But the reality is, you don't award wins in the spring. I always see those people come out. Well, it's a tough schedule, and I could see the Bears being 8-8. I mean, they could be 9-7 here. The games haven't been played. The draft just got drafted up. Injuries occur. There's so much. So for me, I look at games played, and when I look at what from a top high above Hallis Hall, I see games played from Ted Phillips, games played from George McCaskey, games played by Ryan Pace. I see games played by John Fox, Dowell Loggins, and so on and so forth down. There's just no truth. There's no semblance of an organization that is strictly about winning and being victorious. Shane went on a tirade last episode on Bears Hour Live about the lack of a plan and the excuses. John Fox is holding Dowell Loggins captive, and thus he's holding Mitchell Trubisky captive. We look at Atlanta, we see drops, we see personnel on the field, and decisions by an offensive coordinator that costs you the game. Josh Bellamy shouldn't even be on this field, yet he was in a critical down. And we go forward. We're having to win games with Jordan Howard. We're starting Mike Glennon. We're embarrassed on a Thursday night. This is the soup that's being fed to the players. There's one thing that's standing out from the rest, and that's the defense and the defensive effort. That's why it's very disappointing that you look down at this, and the one guy with a plan and growth in personnel is the defensive coordinator, showcasing that you're going to build and you're going to hold accountable players that need to be built up and held accountable. Leonard Floyd, Jarrell Freeman, all of them, Danny Trevathan coming back. Look at how he's pressed to get back to really do beyond anything I could ever have imagined him doing on the football field. This kid's playing like an all-pro, Pro Bowl type football player at the inside linebacker position. Then you got the rookies coming in there with, as we talked about, Ed Donatel. So as I look at this, I see a ship whose first mate should be the captain. And that confusion and lies and games and politics and contracts, all of that invading your franchise is why you're here. Forget schedule, strength, who you're playing. Any Sunday, anybody can win. If this season isn't a testament to that, I don't know what you're watching. I believe that since I was a little kid. I've seen it happen on every level, no matter what, who you're playing. Football is a different game than hockey, than a soccer, than a basketball, than all of them, because it's an ultimate team sport, and you need health and you need physicality and mental toughness to play this game. And the Chicago Bears have that on one side of the football. Right now, the other side of the football is being led by a head coach and an offensive coordinator that have fumbled away what could be a real great position of where we are than where we are right now. And there's no other way to cut it. The fault therein lies with the head coach. You're in charge of the ship. Mike Glennon, and not having an open competition, set this team backwards, set Mitchell Trubisky backwards. I'm going to say it again and again. I said it from the get-go at Bears Barroom. Other people laughed, but I saw what I know, and I speak up for it. It's not arrogance, Aldo. It's what we bring to the table here. Each one of us has been wrong about stuff and have been more than happy to admit and eat crow. This show and what we are building at Bears Barroom for you and the fans who have been tremendous is about the elegance of truth and what needs to transpire, there is no good in John Fox right now. The record should mean absolutely nothing to the performance, because the defense doesn't get those turnovers, Aldo, against Baltimore. And then again at Carolina, do the Chicago Bears win? Shane, Aldo.
Leaving you hanging. No, they don't.
Like a Minnesota. Exactly. So the ultimate team sport needed its defense to step up. And those games, including the Pittsburgh game and the Falcons game, let's not overlook those games of what the defense has done. They've been consistent. And without them, John Fox's excuse and escape hatch by the guy on Twitter and the Bears blog is unrealistic, because it's a team game and the offense has not done its part yet. And in fact, when you put the rookie in, you've condensed and handicapped him from being what this team needs. And ultimately, the plays that he's given, including the dreaded, fraudulent, completely embarrassing excuse for anything and everything that stands for football, Roger Goodell should suspend this fat fuck on TV coming in trying to sell us somebody said it was the perfect example, the Magruder tape, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
With JFK and the smoking Zabruder. All of a sudden he's pointing at things that don't even exist.
Back and to the left.
And
unbelievable.
I'll go to my grave knowing that poor guy, that man, that animal, the talent that he's had the determination to get on the field and be an NFL athlete at his level and come back from injury time again. It's so terrible that chapter ends with lies. And if I was titling this season of anything, it would be a season of lies starring John Fox in the NFL, because that's how this has played out for the Bears. They've gotten screwed over by the officials in 2 games, Green Bay and now New Orleans, where they're complete plays that you can't even fathom. And ultimately, Zach Miller's career ends on a play that I will never forget, and I don't think fans will ever forget for the rest of their lives. And that's how I see Hallis Hall and this scenario. I just don't see any positivity coming out of it. They could win this next game coming up against Green Bay, but there's no signs that John Fox should be the head coach for me as I look back at how this was all handled and where you are with the record, Aldo. The truth is, you gotta fire John Fox.
Man, what you said there just fired off a million thoughts in my head, and people don't want to listen to me, they want to listen to you guys, but I do want to throw in a few points here. Number one, looking at this from grading Ryan Pace, the number one thing that he did wrong was the Glennon gaffe. And I think all of us to a man said that at the time of the acquisition. I remember my chief complaint about it was, we've been waiting 2 full years for Ryan Pace to do something about the quarterback position, to work on getting Jay Cutler's successor, and this is what he comes up with? That's what I said at the beginning of the season. And then the number 2 error that he made, which is one that Phil immediately pointed out, was that there was no quarterback competition. When Ryan Pace drafted Mitch Trubisky, he announced immediately that Mike Glennon was the number 1 quarterback. So that came from the top. That came from him. And so Phil immediately said, and Shane, I think you were with him on this, this is ridiculous that there's no quarterback competition. Number 3, the wide receiver issue, Ryan Pace totally screwed that up. You guys, I think Shane, you were leading the chorus, Phil too, about Alshon Jeffrey should have been re-signed, either a long-term deal or tag him again. Particularly if you're bringing in a young quarterback and he's going to get playing time, you need good wide receivers. Pace screwed that up. Now, move to the offensive line. I think Ryan Pace did a fairly decent job. Yes, we're not happy with the offensive tackles on this team, but headline breaking news, no team is. Hardly any team in the NFL is. It's really a bad time in NFL history for offensive tackles. And when you grade out Massey and Leno, they kind of come out in the middle. You know, we could be doing a lot worse. The inside of the line is there's a lot of talent there. And unfortunately, the guys haven't played as well as they should because of injury, because of coaching errors. And also, let's not forget the Eric Kush injury, how badly that hurt the offensive line. But from Ryan Pace's perspective, I thought he did a good job there. And I think he did a fairly decent job with the tight ends. Yes, a lot of us complained that Adam Shaheen was a reach in the second round. But I think the guy still, you know, and while the jury is out, he's only been targeted twice on passes this year. And hopefully now with Zach Miller out, he'll become more involved in the offense. But, you know, the guy definitely has the talent to be a unique tight end in this league. Deion Sims has been a huge disappointment. I didn't expect him to play as poorly as he had. He came to the Bears with the pedigree of being a good blocker, and he's blocking like a Girl Scout. So I don't get that at all. Now, the defensive backs, Ryan Pace deserves an A+ on what he's done there. If you're going to give him a mark down, maybe he should have picked up the fifth-year option on Kyle Fuller, although if he would have, I probably would have given him shit for that back then. At the defensive line, some disappointments there in the John Jenkins and Jay Howard acquisitions. Those guys haven't lived up to my expectations. But as a whole, we're getting really, really good play out of there. And Pace extended the contract of Akeem Hicks, who is definitely in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. So that's good. The linebacker situation, I think, is fairly solid. The major disappointment there is Jarrell Freeman and his selfishness and cowardice at taking these PEDs and not addressing his situation like a man and going to the NFL and getting help, as opposed to letting the team down with his actions. And you better believe these guys that are suffering these pec injuries and those types of injuries, that has a lot to do with what they're ingesting into their bodies. So, you know, and then finally, you've got to assess, when you're assessing Ryan Pace, you've got to assess what he's done with the coaching position. And my biggest disappointment this year is that he, on Monday, didn't call a press conference and announce that John Fox was being fired and that Vic Fangio would assume the head coaching duties, period. I would live with Dow Loggins being the offensive coordinator the rest of the year. I know people are throwing tomatoes at me now, but I would have lived with that as long as we would have gotten rid of John Fox. And I wish I had that goddamn music queued up again, fellas, because now would be the perfect time. Shane, why don't you grade my assessment of Ryan Pace?
Hey, at least we're not Browns fans, right?
There you go, really. Talk about...
Hold on, where's the fax machine?
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Can't even imagine. No, it's, you know, there's I can't go against anything that you said, Aldo, at all. And I mean, I think people want the GM to bat 1,000. You know, with every single move. And
wait a second, Shane. You said that you didn't disagree with anything that I said. Hold on a second.
Oh,
yeah,
Shane, it's true. You are the smartest man in the bar room.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sure if I listen back to it, I can pick out something. maybe, but no. There's hit and misses, and I think that's, you know, it's the. Like Phil said, the big one, and you alluded to it too, Aldo, the big one is with Mike Glennon. He wanted, you know, 2 shots at the quarterback. And I just keep on, when we bring up Mike Glennon, I just am thankful that Mike Glennon wasn't the answer. You know, think about it that way. Can you imagine if they invested all this money and time into Mike Glennon and that was the guy, and we drafted, you know, a safety or Solomon Thomas number 3 overall and just sat flat with a quarterback or with no quarterback? That would have just been catastrophic, and I think we would have been talking about a whole different scenario for this off season. But no, there's a lot of swings and misses there, and there's no perfect scenario at all because you don't know how injuries are going to play out, and the Kevin White thing is a disaster, like you brought up Jarrell Freeman, but at the same time, with Jarrell Freeman going out, I think we've seen, you know, we haven't seen much of Nick Kwiatkowski, but we saw another guy step up in Christian Jones that I know us here at the bar room have been pretty high on that kid for quite a long time. And I think we're kind of seeing his growth by leaving him in a spot. He's a player that Phil and I used to talk about a lot when he was at Florida State. He was really a jack of all trades, master of none, that they just moved everywhere. He even played some fullback at Florida State, believe it or not, and they just never put him in one position. You kind of see him settling into his own. But you know, back to Ryan Pace, it's going to be another, like I said, last year was the year of the quarterback. It's going to be an even bigger offseason for Ryan Pace because we should hopefully see the biggest move of the offseason on Black Monday, the Monday after the season ends, after the regular season ends, with John Fox being cleared of his duties in Chicago, and you know, opening up into free agency. I think that's where we're going to be seeing a lot of resources and draft picks and everything focused on the offensive side of the ball this offseason. But it's, you know, I'm higher on Ryan Pace than probably most, but there's no, I mean, I can't sit here and say that the guy has been perfect because he's been far from it. But at the same time, if you're talking about Danny Trevathan and Akeem Hicks and Adrian Amos and Eddie Jackson and Eddie Goldman and Mitchell Trubisky and Jordan Howard, these are all Ryan Pace's guys too. So for every swing and miss, there's a double or there's a triple or there's a single. So I think that's just the nature of being a GM in the NFL. And to me, if you're going to get rid of somebody, you got to be sure you have somebody better to come in and replace them. And I think we'd have a much harder job doing that, replacing Ryan Pace, than we would a guy like John Fox. And we all know the Chicago Bears franchise, guys, at the end of the day, the problems start right up at the very top, you know, even up above higher than Ryan Pace, like Phil alluded to with Ted Phillips and George McCaskey. It just seems, you know, for a $1 billion franchise, sometimes it's really run like a mom and pop store, and that's really hard to see. But it is what it is, and I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon in terms of ownership. But yeah, I do have to agree with your assessment, Aldo. It's pretty much hit and miss, and we're gonna see what happens next.
It really is. One of the toughest, maybe the toughest of all the general manager positions in the major team sports. I think being a football NFL general manager could be the toughest because you've got to fill out such a huge roster, you know, and so to make accurate player assessments for the 50 plus positions that you're going to walk out of training camp, it's very, very difficult. So, you know, I look at Ryan Pace's positives, and to me, they outweigh the negatives. But the one or two stumbling blocks for me is, you know, what you and I just agreed on, the whole coaching situation. Phil, I got to tell you this. Today, I am editing Alec Lifschultz's article on BearsBarroom.com, The Great Rookie Quarterback Debate. And in one of the paragraphs, he writes that he and you were exchanging tweets and talking about the quarterback position and how he agreed with your assessment on who the top 4 quarterbacks were in this draft. Deshaun Watson was your number 1. He agreed with that. Patrick Mahomes, number 2. He agreed with that. Deshaun Kaiser, number 3. He agreed with that. And at number 4, Mitch Trubisky. So I know that you 100% support the Trubisky acquisition. But I got to ask you this. Looking back, do you wish that it was Watson as opposed to Trubisky? Got to ask you that question.
I always stand for the truth, Aldo. Of course, if it was me as the GM, this team would look a lot different from the coach as well as personnel. But yes, I would have stayed at 3 and took Deshaun Watson. He would have been my number 1 pick, and it has nothing to do with how he performed. I mean, was there a more vocal person about the guy out there with the frame rate fiascos and all the criticism that came with taking this guy? Because I'm still a big Josh Allen fan, and I know that kid is getting a lot of soupy sales going on with him because of how he's performing. But the whole story for people in a team game is never told. That's why you got to be careful of who you follow. And there's a lot of people that just repeat and regurgitate others' opinions. With me, and I know Shane, we argue openly on Twitter and are from the same the same team here. And Aldo will jump in. We don't all agree. And I'm saying this because I just had a thought in the reality of Bears Barroom. It comes from a place that is so real, and it really needs to be shared with your friends and everyone, because I look back on what we've talked about and how we would build this team differently, and had they listened to us in the bar room, things wouldn't be the way they are right now. But I just think that this team here would be different with Deshaun Watson. I just, the cream always rises to the top. Would he have been forced to sit behind a Mike Lennon? I mean, when you look back on it, and I think I was, what did Shane say? Prophet? What was it, Shane, that he said?
Yeah, well, I think you coined yourself the prophet. I don't think I had anything.
No, I couldn't remember the word. No, it was actually Mamo the bear who coined me the prophet.
God, I love Mamo.
But I'm saying, I couldn't think of the adjective, prophetic, whatever I don't know what the hell it's called. I don't know why.
It would be prophetic.
All right, so prophetic.
He's a doctor, not a professor.
I'm a doctor, not a professor. You're right. Marianne. Anyway, I just look at it and I think back to how Trubisky was performing in scrimmages versus what I was seeing being sold to me. A lemon, a fraud, a fake, an idiot with everything at stake. It's so silly now when you watch what transpired, but really, if you listen back on those old shows, and they're there, they exist, with me arguing with our former colleague Lauren Cox, and thinking that somehow playing Glennon was going to up his trade value, which I said was completely ridiculous. And ultimately, look what happened. He pissed down his leg. That's what transpired. It is what it is. And when you looked at the biggest of stages, the greatest performer happened to be Deshaun Watson. And every frame rate that I saw was getting the ball to where it's supposed to be, being calm in the pocket, recognizing where he wanted to go with the football, his 1-2. He had the spread game. He had everything. So for me, it would never change. I love Mitchell Trubisky. That's completely clear. He impressed me. I was sat next to my father watching the combine. My father, true story, I know you like Watson. My father said to me, this kid's going to be the best quarterback, talking about Mitchell Trubisky. I said, okay, but I believe it's going to be Watson. And that's how I go with things. They're my eyes. There are tape. There are discussions. And I appreciate Alec, by the way, too, because of what he's doing for the Bears bar room and supporting and writing and doing his thing. But that's how I saw it. And then you look at Mahomes, I just thought his big arm and his ability to be a gunslinger with accuracy and athleticism would transition well to the NFL, and we're going to see his story. But injury and everything, it took the sad wind out of me when Shane texted me. I was at the doctor's office, and it was so disappointing to hear about Watson, because you cheer for these guys. I don't cheer against them, only Green Bay. But anyway, I think Trubisky needs this leash to come off of him to really get the true player comparison. I've always said, Aldo, on Twitter and everything, they're two different entities. You can like both, and you can also cheer for both. It doesn't have to be compared to what they're doing and what they're doing. The assessment in a team sport is never going to be identical. So when someone said, well, Tampa Bay last year, Jay Cutler threw 3 picks, and look what Mike Glennon. I mean, you just get the same. That's not how you do it. So somebody saying that kind of stuff to you is false leading you. It's what you do under center when it matters most in situations and versus teams. It's never going to be any different. So I believe that Trubisky is an ascending football player. I'm already seeing and being completely disappointed by fans saying Trubisky's a bust. Look at his stats. Look what he hasn't been able to do. It's completely unfair. Completely unfair. And one last point, in Trubisky's corner, his accuracy is the best quality that he has, and his athleticism is second best. His arm strength is there. When you've seen the game in a critical moment, he's made a big play, and he's also made an error. Those errors come, in my opinion, by coaches putting him in situations that are 97% unwinnable. And when that happens, what do you have? A coaching issue. And that is unfairly going to be criticized by the Deion Sanders and the Heath Millers and the Matt Millers and all these frauds that go on and talk about these things that really don't study the game. They don't recognize the personnel issues or the 3 offensive linemen that have had to sub into the game and him lacking talent at the wire. None of that gets into the play. It just becomes a comparison to Deshaun Watson. And I won't take anything away from either one of them. I just compare them to what it is that they have to work with, the coaches that they have. And really, ultimately, I think the Bears are in a good spot if they decide to do what's right and move on.
Shane, you had Kaiser coming to the Bears. That was your preference. Do you want to amend that? Do you want?
I'm. Hey, listen, I'm still a huge Deshaun Kaiser fan, and I think he went to the absolute worst possible situation for any quarterback. And I mean, yes, is he a perfect prospect? No. Does he need to grow up and mature? Absolutely. But I mean, here we are halfway through the NFL season, and you've even seen his head coach pull him out, say, all right, we're going to move in a different direction. We're going to, put Kessler in, pull Kessler out, put Kaiser back in, pull Kaiser back out, put another guy in. And that right there in itself, I don't care if you have, Deshaun Watson or Mitchell Trubisky or Tom Brady in that situation with indecisiveness from your head coach and Cleveland just in general, everybody knows it's the toilet bowl of the NFL at this point. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and write Deshaun Watson off or Deshaun Kaiser off after 8 games. I love a lot about his game. Obviously, there's things to clean up, but no, I'm still very high because when I'm looking at a quarterback, I'm always projecting out to what I think he can become, and I think he's got everything in a quarterback that I want. He's got the build, he's got the arm strength, he's got not the super. He's not a Michael Vick type with his athletic ability, but he's still a mobile guy that can get out and get you yards on his feet. But no, it still keep me as a big Deshaun Kaiser fan. I just think he went to the absolute most unfortunate situation possible for his young career. And, Phil did put it perfect not to move off of Deshaun Kaiser, but
just real quick before you say that, I was just going to say that Kaiser is the perfect prospect. He's got all the tools. He just needs, time and good coaching and mentoring and all the right pieces. I'm sorry, go ahead.
AJ McCarron.
Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go.
Let me just chime in because to top on Shane's point, I just want to make sure it gets in this because it's important. The Browns, by trading for McCarron, are saying we're done with Deshaun Kaiser. So
exactly.
Literally, this kid has 8 games, and that's how cowardice and maybe they know. Maybe the kid is immature and arrogant, and Shane doesn't have the ability, nor do I, to sit down with these guys and really assess who they are when the mountain is in front of them. So that piece of the puzzle is a monstrous piece of the puzzle. And before we bury Hugh and what have you, Kaiser, he could have some mental blockage when it comes to coaching or a fit with this philosophy, but they should have known that. But anyway, McCarron getting traded there clearly was a
not traded.
I meant
I know.
On again, off again. Fax machine. Angelo forgot to check the box. Warwick Holdman and who was the receiver that time? Bates, was that
Dwayne
his name?
Dwayne
Bates. Oh my God, the fiasco. But go ahead, Shane. I'm sorry.
No, it's just I when you brought up the fans, and I see there's people giving Mitch Trubisky heat about going home for a couple of days during the bye week to Ohio to spend some time with his family and whatever. That's for him to go home for 48 hours. I'm not going to trash the kid on his bye week, but I think there's so many stat scouts out there in fantasy football. And I'm not saying that you guys or any of the Barflies or any of the people that follow us exactly think this, but I think they see these big astronomical numbers, that Deshaun Watson was putting up in Houston, and they think that just automatically would be who Deshaun Watson is in Chicago. And Phil, you know this, and Aldo, you know this. That right there in itself just simply isn't true. Just because in terms of weapons and Bill O'Brien and, there's a whole number of factors that contribute to that. I mean, he's on a better team. I'm not taking anything away from the way that Watson has played. He's been absolutely phenomenal. But to say that if you just put him on Chicago and he's going to have the same type of impact that he has in Houston, I don't believe that. I mean, I think I would take him here in Chicago, absolutely, if he was our quarterback. But I think there's a lot of people out there that just assume that if he was here, we'd have a quarterback with 19 touchdown passes, and it just simply doesn't work that way. It just doesn't in the NFL.
Yeah, and Alec wrote that very same thing in his article, that, comparing Trubisky and Watson and their performance this year is impossible because Watson walked into a team that was ready to compete with DeAndre Hopkins, with Kyle Fuller, all of the pieces.
Will Fuller.
Yeah, all of the pieces. Will Fuller, sorry. All of the pieces there for him to compete. And then one other thing that you mentioned, Shane, that I want to make sure that fans know is under the collective bargaining agreement during the bye, players are forced really to take some time off. It's part of their agreement. Now, I've heard that some teams, do a little cheating on the side, and the player doesn't go away. He hangs around, training camp and so forth. But the John Fox in his press conference, and one of the few things that he said that I agree with, it's important to get away. It's important. There's an old saying in business that you can get more work done in 5 days of work than you can in 7 days. Because if you're working 7 days a week, you're just going to be dragging. You're mentally going to be tired and so forth. This young man, he needs to get away. He needs to spend time with loved ones. He needs to just recharge the battery. And we all know how competitive this guy is. Nobody is going to argue with me and win and say that Trubisky isn't a competitive young man. You know that while he's getting hugs and stuff from mom, he's thinking about, give me a play call. Where's this guy go and stuff. He's just going to be that way. So it's one of the things that I like about this guy, and one of the reasons I'm encouraged that he's going to be a real stud quarterback. All right.
Yeah, and you while he's away, he's got his iPad with him. He's got any number of things. Who knows if he doesn't have a VR type system with him? After he goes out to dinner with his parents or girlfriend or whomever. I mean, it's not like these guys are just totally forgetting about everything football, because like you said, Aldo, they're football all day, every day, 24/7. And one quick thing that I do want to mention is when you're talking about a rookie, these rookies, just in general in the NFL, these guys started their college football season in 2016, so they play their entire season. The guys that are draft eligible are foregoing their senior year, like Mitchell Trubisky did. They're going right from their season. They're going for draft prep. Then they're going to the combine. They're going on visits. Then they're going through the draft process. Then they're going to their new team. They're going to mini camps and OTAs. Then they're in training camp, and now they're halfway through the season. So these guys haven't had a break whatsoever. So if fans or media or whomever are gonna piss and moan about the kid taking 48 hours to get away, I mean, just that, to me, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, good for you, Mitchell, and any rookie for that matter that just wants to step back and take a deep breath and kind of reflect on what you've been doing the past 18 months. Good for you. Like you said, recharge those batteries, and it starts all up again on Wednesday when they get back.
One other thing, people who go out of their way to not look in the mirror. Like, you're listening to this show, you're either going to school, going to college, whatever you're doing, working, a 9 to 5, maybe you're in the third shift or the second shift, you're a correctional officer, whatever you are, you think about you doing that job and the daily grind that you look forward to your weekend. I know I do. And as a coach, I always worked my guys. Aldo hit it out of the park. You worked your guys in the time frame and asked them to go and relax, but watch. I always would say that, especially to the younger kids, and this would fit with Mitchell. Watch football. because that's how you learn. And if you're a young football player out there, or somebody whose goal is to play collegiately or whatever, watch the game as much as you can, because that's how you learn it. And he should be doing that as he goes away. And like Shane said, with the technology and everything they have, there's no doubt in my mind, I'm sure he's going to be going over things, maybe to the point where his mom or dad are going to tell him, listen, all right, give it a rest, because that's the kind of competitor he is. So please, that kind of stupidity is no place in the barroom. Oh, yeah. It's that time in the show when you grab the microphone and Shane Marceau.
Oh boy.
From Europe to New York. He's gonna give you his dumbest tweets of the week.
Oh man, that was awesome.
Was that you? Was that you, Aldo?
It was so bad. It was awesome. Well done.
Oh man, I gotta. Here we are, halfway through the season, guys, and these stupidest tweets of the week. I could have literally had 50 of them.
I'm really rich
this week. I had so many screenshots on my phone. A couple hours ago, I was just flipping through trying to figure out which ones I wanted to use.
Who did?
And there was so many horrendous ones. I mean, it was a bad week in the Twitter sphere out there for stupid tweets. So we're gonna start off with number one here at Andrew Siciliano. I think everybody knows him from NFL Network. He's the little Philatosian pint-sized guy on there, but he's got the huge ears.
Big ears.
Yeah, big ears. Yeah, exactly. And it's at Andrew Siciliano.
Ears.
Absolutely, yeah, Dumbo ears.
That must have been at birth. That must have been a horrific scene when that little baby is coming out with those Dumbo ears. That had to be horrific. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you want to stuff him back up in there and see
Those Eggo waffles.
Yeah.
You know, and instead of circumcising him, they should have cut his ears off.
Trim them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I saw this narrative begin to play out. We had the NFL trading deadline this week, and we saw a couple of the big deals, and one of them was Jimmy Garoppolo kind of surprising the NFL world and getting shipped by New England out to San Francisco, who's in dire need of a quarterback out there. And Andrew Siciliano tweeted out, if you connect the trade dots on the 4 San Francisco 49ers deals, you'll find that the 49ers actually got Reuben Foster and Jimmy Garoppolo simply for moving down one spot in last April's draft.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
I saw Gil Brandt. Yeah, Gil Brandt tweeted out the same thing. Well, when the Bears moved up one spot, the Bears gave up the number 3 overall. They gave up their 3rd rounder in 2017, and they gave up a 4th rounder in 2017. They gave up a 3rd rounder in the 2018 draft for number 2 overall, and we all know who they took, Mitchell Trubisky. Well, the San Francisco 49ers traded a 2nd-round draft pick to New England in 2018 for Jimmy Garoppolo. So to tie in Jimmy Garoppolo to the Mitchell Trubisky trade is just a media-driven farce. You know, like our narrative, like we like to talk about here in the Bears barroom. It's just to really stroke John Lynch. For some reason, he seems to be the media's favorite GM.
Darling.
The media darling. That I believe, is San Francisco still winless?
Yes! Yes!
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So yeah, great job, John. I mean, you're really cleaning up out there. But No, I just see this. Gil Brandt tweeted out the same thing, and you saw a bunch of idiots with little check marks next to their name on Twitter trying to push this narrative that, you know, the Bears completely overpaid and John Lynch swindled, you know, swindled Ryan Pace by getting Reuben Foster and Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, Jimmy Garoppolo he didn't factor in whatsoever in the Chicago Bears trade with San Francisco. If San Francisco stayed at number 2, I don't think they were going quarterback anyway. I think it was pretty widely expected, and I think everybody talked about it on draft night that they were it was either going to be Solomon Thomas if they couldn't bounce out, or even Reuben Foster they were talking about maybe taking at number 2. Yep. But so that one kind of razzed me up a little bit, and so I'm going to give that my one of my stupidest tweets of the week by @Andrew Siciliano.
You are really dumb, for real.
Oh yeah. Whether Ragu, Prego, Hunts, or Aunt Millie's, these are Shane Marsaw's dumbest tweets of the week, and not full Phillies. The dumbest tweets of the week by Shane Marsaw.
Oh my! I think Phil's on bye week with some of these words he's throwing out there.
What's that? I came up with that while you were talking your tweet.
I think he's saving his best for these recordings that he's doing for us, and when we're doing these 100 proof shows.
I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, well, we disagree.
You're gonna have to put a poll down at the Prego, Hunts, and Aunt Millie's.
Yeah, hey, we need a sponsorship for our polls. Any of you business guys listening in, give me a call. Go ahead, Shane.
Absolutely. No, we'll dive right in here to the second stupidest tweet of the week, and this is by somebody on Twitter that I've never seen before. It's 6 U.S. Bears, and he's got a little middle finger and a piece of cheese next to it, and he's @GI Bears. He was spouting off after the Saints game, and this kind of ties into our Deshaun Watson and Mitchell Trubisky debate that we had right here just 10 or 15 minutes ago. He tweeted out, it's a bad move by the Bears a mile long. Mitch Trubisky was a reach when Watson was clearly a proven player, but Mitch Trubisky is more marketable because he's white.
Hi, Mommy. Are you proud of me?
That's so stupid. And anybody with a brain just knows how this is. I mean, come on, guys. This isn't. Everybody wants to make absolute. Is there a race issue in America? Yes, there absolutely is. Is there a race issue with the Chicago Bears against Deshaun Watson and thinking that Mitch Trubisky is more marketable?
Oh, hell no!
No, there's absolutely not. I don't think that factored in whatsoever. I think it's people grasping at straws and throwing bullshit out there. I think what it came down to, I think the Bears liked Mitchell Trubisky's upside and projected him to be a better quarterback in 4 or 5 years. I think, honestly, that's all it came down to. I don't think it has anything to do with race. And yes, I know these are volatile times in America, and we see way too much of this on the news and everything with Colin Kaepernick. And yes, there is race issues here and there, but I don't think this is one of them. And I didn't like seeing a Bears fan even making that, jumping to that conclusion, because I don't think it's warranted in Chicago whatsoever. And like I said, I don't think race played into the decision to draft Mitch Trubisky over Deshaun Watson at all. So that's @GI Bears. Congratulations for getting my stupidest tweet of the week.
Well, I was going to say, it really doesn't even fit if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. I gotta quit here.
Tell him, Johnny.
If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
I don't see how the national championship quarterback, the guy on the big stage who's won all these games, who's played the battles and took the shots and has put up these numbers and has been a starter, I don't see how that doesn't sell better than a guy that started 13 starts. You're trying to make a race issue.
Wake up, white people.
Out of something that doesn't even quantify that. And that stupidity, I'm sorry, I just don't stand for and tolerate that. We're step for step. This is Ryan Pace making an assessment on his decision and his group of people. Let's not forget, you could put that audio drop in here. I put it in the video promoting early shows, one of our Bears Barroom original videos of Ryan Pace saying, this guy liked to, Shane knows all the names of the guy. I don't know the Bears front office names off the top.
Right, yeah, he was talking about the area scouts and
area
top scouts, and one guy that he didn't mention in that video was John Fox, number one quarterback.
Exactly. So he's like, this guy's number one quarterback. So he was basically trying to point out, highlight, underline, define that this was a group unanimous decision of Mitchell Trubisky. And you, going back to the original conversation, Pace's plethora of pontiffering points of what you say, Mike Glennon, does give me pause in his ability to assess a quarterback. It's natural based on what Aldo said and what I feel. He failed. You failed miserably. You could have saved face by opening the competition and said the best man won, and that's why. But instead, they played a political game, and ultimately, this is where we are. But the selling of white kid, good-looking, handsome kid versus a good-looking, handsome national champion quarterback who's done it before, to me, it doesn't even fit.
Yeah,
Must quit.
Think about it. It doesn't fit. I mean, Leonard Floyd drafted in the top 10. Not sure if the guy's watched football. He's not white. I mean, maybe Ryan Pace was really pissed off when he drafted Kevin White and found out that he's not. Maybe he was really pissed off.
It's the quarterback position, you moron.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the quarterback over here because.
Let's get some mozzarella in here, huh? And some gabagao!
You're so stupid, Joey!
Man, I gotta tell you, this Alaskan beer, I'm gonna give a promo here. Maybe these guys will sponsor us. Alaskan Icy Bay IPA. This stuff is excellent, man. I'm just started my second one, and it is really good stuff. All right, Phil, listen, I need you to focus here, bro, because
this is gonna be hard.
You look at a picture of your wife for inspiration.
Mamma mia!
You gotta bring it with this one, all right? Here we go.
It's a lot of pressure. Oh, yeah. I'm nervous. I don't know if you heard this. It's the time of the show where everybody knows that Shane Marceau digs into his mailbag and pulls out the elite tweet of the week.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Topless, baby. Topless.
You can ask Hila. When I usually pull into my mailbag, I don't pull out any tweets.
I got a boner!
She knows it's coming. She knows what Daddy's bringing. But yeah, it's a... to take a little bit different approach here at the Bears Bar Room for the top tweet of the week, and we're going to throw some love to our super producer over here, Mr. Aldo Gandia, and the @Bears Bar Room Twitter account, who sent out some love to @ZMiller86 from Phil and I and Aldo and everybody at Bears Bar Room and all of our Barflies, sending out our little get well quickly, Zach, from the Bears Bar Room and the Barflies with our caricatures of everybody. I know some other places and blogs and podcasts thought that was a good idea, so they decided to do the same thing after we did it.
Beat biter, dope style taker, tell it to the face, they ain't nothing but fakers.
See, now you're bringing it, Phil. You could have used that. But no, it's been a sad week, and it really hasn't been 2 or a 3 hour window that's went by since Sunday where I haven't thought about Zach Miller and his family, and it's really nice to see all these Bears fans on Twitter and on message boards, and you see Akeem Hicks flew down there, on his own time to see Zach Miller. You saw George McCaskey take him the touchdown ball, and I think that speaks an awful lot about Zach Miller, the man, and what he means to this entire fan base and Chicago Bears organization, that they really look at him as more than just a football player. I mean, I think he's a leader, on the field and off the field, and by all intents and purposes, that was the end of his career down there at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans. But hopefully, the Chicago Bears have something more in store for Zach Miller, keeping him in this organization. So it's not really a tweet of the week, but I mean, it's a Bears Bar Room. Bears Bar Room sent this out, and I just want to give a shout out to Aldo for coming up with that, and all the Barflies, and you, Phil, you spoke eloquently there on Bears Hour Live the other night about what Zach Miller means to us and everybody as a fan base. And I just wanted to bring it up one more time here during the bar week. And, we wish Zach and his 2 young kids and his wife and his parents and in-laws and everybody that's helping him get through this down in New Orleans at the hospital. He's a great football player, and he's a better man. And we want him to know that Bears fans all over the world are, screaming out in unison, that we're praying for him every day, and we hope that he's able to lead extremely productive life, off the football field, and we do hope to keep him around in Chicago in some sort of capacity.
I want to piggyback off Shane, because I know the Chicago Bears have, and I'm going to call on the Barflies and the loyal listeners. That's who you are. That's what Aldo defined this crew of characters worldwide as Barflies. And I'm glad you've taken on that thing, and embraced that ambassadors of the Bears Bar Room Radio Network. We have a lot of things planned on your behalf, the loyal fan, but we're going to need you here. And this just came to me as Shane was talking. So I'm surprising my crew here, but the Chicago Bears have an asterisk game against Green Bay, against Don Majkowski, when he stepped across the line of scrimmage and it was challenged in the early days of video replay. It was ruled on the field a illegal forward pass, only to be reversed and wrongfully reversed at that. And so Michael McCaskey, who used to be the chairman, dubbed it, and it's still in the media guide with an asterisk by it as a loss. I'm asking Barflies to be originals. We're not going to let the Bears brothers and all these other frauds steal this. We're going to roll with this and ask that George McCaskey step up and put an asterisk by this touchdown catch and let it be known to the world that we know the NFL sold this man short and the Chicago Bears short, and we as Bear fans will not tolerate it. We will asterisk the catch. That's my question. Let's roll with that out, though. I hope
I love it.
We can get it going.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I've got ideas already percolating in my head of what we can do creatively with that. That is a wonderful idea. We'll work on some stuff. Yeah, and Barflies, send me DMs.
Unite.
Yeah, Barflies unite. I need to make a drop of that. That's perfect. Let's work on this together as a team, creative collaboration, and let's do something really special for Zach, for the Chicago Bears organization, and the fans. I got to tell you, thanks, by the way, Shane, for noticing that tweet. I appreciate that. And I also got to say, I made a really stupid joke during the game, that the Bears weren't getting any breaks except for blah, blah, blah. And I apologize for that joke. I had no idea at the extent of the injury. And the funny thing is that I was completely sober when I made that joke. I mean, typically I say something really stupid when I've got a beer or two in me. So I wanted to apologize for that. And Zach Miller and his family, your thoughts and prayers have been on my mind since the injury. Really sorry for that stupid joke, and just want to say, I think Zach Miller's future in Chicago is locked and loaded as a commentator. This guy has all the class, charisma, telegenic skills. I mean, this guy is so damn handsome. I want to make love with him. That, this guy's got it all going on. I hope that he decides to make Chicago his home. And if I were a general manager at a radio or TV station, especially TV, I'd be talking to his agent right now, because this guy has got the skills to have a long career in this business. And Zach, you're welcome to have your own show on the Bears Barroom Radio Network anytime. I'll talk to your agent and we'll work out a deal.
Yeah, maybe
come on with us.
Maybe ChicagoBears.com can have lunch with Zach and boot Larry Mayer to the
Oh,
side.
no, that's the best idea I've heard tonight.
I love it. The sight of Larry Mayer makes me want to fucking punch somebody. I would take him and drive his ass 7 yards back into the fucking ground. I fucking can't stand that arrogant fuck.
I got a good Larry Mayer story. When the Bears traded for Jake Cutler, the first preseason game, which, I mean, it's technically not a debut, but it was his debut in the preseason, was in Buffalo. So I made the trek there, and I got to the game a couple hours early, and we were hanging out and stuff, and they let us into the stadium. When I got my tickets, I wanted to get my tickets down near where the Bears were, so I went down and was just hanging out there, and Matt Forte came by, and they're talking to the fans. And I look over, and here's Larry Mayer, and I said, "Larry Mayer," and he looks at me, and he walks over, and he goes, "Here, where's your pen? I'll give you an autograph." And I said, "I don't want an autograph. I was just saying, hey, Larry Mayer." And so, yeah, kind of plays into what Phil said with him being a little bit cocky and thinking he's a little bit more special than he is. I don't know him personally, but that story always kind of stuck with me, that he thought I wanted an autograph when I was just standing there and I said his name. But yeah, he's an odd person, and I don't get any of the stuff that they do at Bears.com with him. It just seems so elementary and remedial. It's crazy.
How does he have that job, Shane? Maybe Aldo knows.
So I actually have audio tape of his job interview when he went to talk with the Bears. Let's take a listen to it. That's how he got the job.
There it is.
Jeez, I didn't know Lauren Cox was interviewing him. That's crazy.
Locked on Larry.
Right.
He was locked on. That sounds of it.
That's hilarious. All right. We have got some really good questions from people that I want to address. before we move up to Bear Up, Bear Down, which is going to be really special tonight. So stick around, listeners. All right, first question is from RC Me. He writes, why aren't the Bears being creative and passing early to be less predictable? Shane, you want to take this one?
Got a jokester on her hands. I don't think they're being creative because I don't think they have a creative head coach or a very, I don't want to say Dowell's completely not creative because he did pull off that 2-point conversion that he stole from Tampa. But no, I think it just comes down to coaching. And everybody knows by watching it, it's lacks fundamental football. And you guys heard me talk on Bears Hour Live. I'm a 41-year-old guy and have never played a single snap of football in my life, and I can sit here and figure out what the Bears are doing. So what's an NFL defensive coordinator? What's Don Capers thinking when he sees the Chicago Bears offense when he's reviewing game tape from them? It's just it's disheartening in so many ways. I mean, I love football. I obviously love the Bears, but you go back and you watch these other teams and you just see how exciting this game of football can be. And it just makes me jealous as a rabid football fan just to see this, like you watch Andy Reid, you see the way that he uses his playmakers on offense and what he does with a mobile quarterback like Alex Smith, a guy that can get out. And then you look over on the other sideline and see a guy like Dowell Loggins, and you're like, what's going on? And it throws a monkey wrench into the entire process. And unfortunately, we have these guys or are entrusting these guys to develop the most important player on our team in Mitch Trubisky. And it's unfortunately, I think Brian Perez a few months ago called it coaching malpractice, and I think that still stands at this point. It's coaching malpractice, and that's why you don't see the glitz and glamour of having creative plays and even sometimes just lacking fundamental football, passing on 3rd and 1 and then turning around and passing again on 4th and 1 when the game is on the line. It comes down to coaching and nothing more.
Hey, before I forget, we finished that tweet segment, and I posted something on Twitter yesterday on my personal account, and let me backtrack even more. Shane, I have not given you my condolences over what happened in Major League Baseball yesterday. I am really, really sorry to you and Lady Love, huge Dodger fans. I mean, she posted some tweets after the game that I felt like crying. I felt so bad for her, and I know how important it was for you and your dad watching. So I really, my heart goes out to you. Anyway,
thank you very much.
AC loves the Bears too.
Yeah, well, hopefully the Bears can make her a little happier, but I think that's going to take a while. Anyway, I posted this video of that Major League Baseball had up of one of the Houston Astro players asked his fiance or asked his girlfriend to marry him, and then I got some comments afterwards. Bears girl, for some reason, thought it was very sweet, but she had other ways that she would like to get a proposal, but never mind that. What I want to get to is Don S. He wrote, I got access. This is how he proposed. I got access to Soldier Field. Both he and his girlfriend were huge fans, and he proposed at the end of the tunnel where every great Bears has ever stood. And they got married on the field. That, to me,
I got a boner.
Deserves.
That's a pimp right there.
Yeah. That guy is a stone cold pimp. Absolutely. I mean,
pimp hands strong.
You do something like that, man, and you're allowed like 20 cards out of 20 get out of jail free cards from your wife, man. That was pretty awesome. Anyway, back to emails, or excuse me, back to tweets. Let me direct this one at Phil. It comes from our buddy at Kurtz N119, who is always hashtagging Firefox with us. He asked about something that we talked about earlier about the Watson-Trubisky debate, but he threw in another name that we didn't talk about is Jimmy Garoppolo. How do you feel about Garoppolo, and do you think that he should have been somebody that Pace should have targeted, particularly when you consider that he was traded away by the Patriots for a second-round draft pick? Couldn't Pace a year ago had done something? And then Kurtz goes on to say that in his opinion, coaching, it's all about coaching. You flip the tables and the circumstances would be all the same, which is, again, what we talked about regarding Watson going into a better situation. And poor Jimmy Garoppolo, he's going to the 49ers, so that can't be good. So, Phil, tell me what your thoughts are about Garoppolo.
Well, I mean, we did talk about him in the off season on this show, and Shane was a big fan of him. I had a lot of questions because I don't know, but the experience of playing in the NFL gave you some false sense or some sense of security. However you look at it, it's all about. It goes back to what we talked about is the coaching. What would he be here and what would he do? As far as Ryan Pace is concerned, we don't know that he didn't try. Apparently, there were rumors that he was. But at that time, you were talking, someone else tweeted it before me, but I was going to tweet the exact same thing and saying, well, I remember when you could get this guy only for 2 ones, and New England wasn't going to give him up. I don't know where it changed or what transpired, but so I can't really get on pace for that based on the value of a second-round pick to get your quarterback of the future, when ultimately it seemed like they were asking for a king's ransom at the time. Now, you can argue, and we've already broken this down to really what the Bears gave up to move one spot was a plan to recoup draft picks later by securing who they wanted now. And ultimately, it ended up being for a third-round pick. So the whole king's ransom that Heath Miller continues to throw out there, and the Deions and the NFL Network, you work for the league, and you still can't get it right to correctly take the time out to explain to a fandom that needs explanation, because it's very heavy waters in fantasy football land. So to do that, especially with the Garoppolo now, too many people that don't listen to the show aren't going to be asking, well, why didn't the Bears just give up their second and get him back then? They should have did it. Really, ultimately, the asking price at the time, I believe, was completely different, and therefore it pushed the Bears away from going in that direction, and they put, obviously, a lot of time and energy into conquering what they knew secretively. I mean, now that the story's out there, I still don't get how people don't know it, but I think Adam Schefter has waxed poetic, as well as Ian Rappaport, who made a entrance into the Firefox song. I think they've explained it pretty well, that the Bears were playing the Cleveland Browns to try to make them think they wanted someone else and trade back, and Cleveland thought they were going to get their guy Trubisky, and really ultimately they just went up to secure their guy, and they played it like that, and they did all this background. They flew out secretively to North Carolina. So they had their plan going. Whether or not Garoppolo was a second round back then, maybe we'll find out. Maybe Peter King, however he gets to sit down with his boy Bill Belichick, and the real story will come to light. And then you can criticize whatever move you want, but the king's ransom, I remember, was 2 first-round picks, and I think we could dig up Shane especially could dig up Adam Schefter's tweet, him putting the Oklahoma flag in the ground saying they're not going to trade him no matter what. But they did. So there you go.
You're 100% right on that, Phil. I mean, this comes down to, the vaunted New England Patriots and Bill Belichick really overplaying their hand. I mean, they're the ones that actually got played in all of this, because you can't tell me back this spring in a quarterback-starved league, there was a team out there that offered them more than a second rounder for Jimmy Garoppolo. They just wanted to wait until the last possible minute, and those deals petered out, and then you have San Francisco step up. I mean, we saw it this week on a deal that didn't end up going through with Cleveland and Cincinnati for A.J. McCarron. I think it was on the same day. Cincinnati was going to get a second and a third for A.J. McCarron. More than New England got for Garoppolo. So, I mean, there's that myth out there that Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, they don't lose good players, and we see how Akeem Hicks is doing here, and that they don't make mistakes. Well, I think we saw them overplay their hand, and that's really played right out in front of our eyes. That I bet you they could have got a lot more for Jimmy Garoppolo back in March and April than they ended up getting for him here in October and November.
Our next question via Twitter, it comes from Casper at Ruddy Cove. He asked an interesting question here that got me thinking. He says he's wondering if going into the season, Pace thought that Wright, Wheaton, and McBride would be enough, or did he know there was nobody to throw to? Now, clearly, he didn't just have those players going into the season. There were some injury issues, and he picked up Ty McBride once the season started after the injury situations. But to me, his question sparked the thought in my mind that Ryan Pace fill out this roster with the idea that perhaps, we're still in rebuilding and it's going to take another 2 or 3 years before he finalizes the roster and spends big money on the players needed to succeed, and we've given Trubisky enough time to develop as a quarterback. Shane, does that make any of my thinking there make any sense to you?
No, I agree with that wholeheartedly for the second time tonight, Aldo. Boy, you're really firing them off tonight. No, I think you're going to see a different Ryan Pace this offseason, because now he has put himself at the forefront with his quarterback. I think there's a lot of people have been saying, back when you saw him not go the extra mile for these free agents and really overspending for these cornerbacks and stuff like that. I think now Ryan Pace is at the front of the line. He's got the most important piece. He's got his piece secured in Mitch Trubisky, and I really think you're going to see a different philosophy from Ryan Pace heading in to this free agency period in the offseason and even into the draft. I mean, I think if he sees an offensive playmaker that's maybe dropping, I think you'll see him, willing to move, or I think we've talked about it here, guys. I think you're going to see day one, as soon as free agency opens, I think you're going to see a day one big money signing at wide receiver. I really do. And I think you're going to see another wide receiver drafted. And I know there's people out there saying they need to draft a wide receiver in every round. I don't believe that. I think you're going to see a big guy be brought in free agency. I think you're going to see one taken fairly high in the draft. I don't think they're probably, maybe not the first round like that, but it's obviously going to be a huge focus, because Ryan Pace isn't going to limit Mitch Trubisky by not giving him everything possible to make him flourish as a quarterback. I mean, this is Ryan Pace's guy. Jay Cutler was not Ryan Pace's guy. Matt Barkley, not his guy. Brian Hoyer, not his guy. Mitch Trubisky is it. This is who Ryan Pace is going to go, to the promised land with, or he's going to go down in flames with. He's going to give him every chance possible to succeed, and I really believe that we'll see this play out this offseason that way. But it's a great thought on your part, Aldo. He's been kind of gun shy to overspend on certain free agents. I mean, I know he did on Mike Glennon, and that was a disaster. But at the end of the day, Mike Glennon really wasn't his guy either. So I think I think we'll see a different Ryan Pace, and hopefully it pays off for Bears this offseason.
Phil, I want to get your thoughts on the wide receiver situation. And Shane actually touched on what Benjamin Drusgula, Benjamin, asked on Twitter, how many draft picks should we spend on wide receivers? I don't know if it's a matter of quantity. It's a matter of quality. There's a great free agent crop coming. I haven't studied the wide receiver crop coming out of college, but I know there's some good players. The key thing, Phil, and I think you'll agree with me on this, is that you've got to find an emerging talent at wide receiver so that he and Mitch Trubisky can be a tandem for the next 5 to 10 years. You agree with that?
Absolutely. I think you hit it on the head because, I was very adamant about obtaining and retaining a homegrown talent. I think it's very important that people understand that if I was the GM, I think Aldo as well, you don't let Alshon Jeffrey go, even though he wanted to go. You possess that guy, and if you ultimately get to the point where you can come to an agreement or trade him, then that's the case that you get, and maybe get some sort of talent to fulfill that position back. Letting him walk, to me, was absurd because Kevin White, and I liked Kevin White coming out of the draft, but he was a gigantic, giant albatross in the room. There was nothing to go on that he was going to give you anything but injury. In fact, I was the only one that said if he gets injured, he's got to go. I don't even think he should be on the roster next year. I know Shane doesn't agree with me, but because you got nothing to lose, I think you do have stuff to lose. It's time and energy and effort that you're carrying this guy that has been a letdown. And then Cameron Meredith was your only established player. Again, the personnel usage of this coaching staff comes into question too, because they're supposedly walking hand to hand here in regards to it. But when you're bringing a young player as well as a guy that hadn't played in 2.5 years and openly stated this to you, that your plan was to bring those players together, which ultimately has gotten you here, is really a black eye on their ability to assess offensive talent. And that's been that way since Pace has gotten here. The offensive side of the football, this whole draft was offense except for Jackson, if you look at it, and there's still questions. So I'm concerned about the wide receiver position. I am all for bringing in a Josh Gordon. I'm all for bringing in any talent you possibly can find that's going to mesh. I mean, is Marcus Wheaton, where is he? Is he on IR? Is he holding a roster spot? I mean, the way they handle this position, Tanner Gentry's out there for the most plays blocking. You're not even getting targets. If the kid can't get open, if he's not doing what he's supposed to do and helping the quarterback, then he's got to go. And you got to get bodies in here that are going to get open. And this playbook, the trade for Inman, who now is the fourth best over in San Diego, he could be your best wide receiver, certainly most accomplished so far, or second most to right. He's not even dressed on Sunday, which I thought was a travesty. I really don't think it's that difficult for this offense to be handled on game day of what you're going to do.
You know how to block and play wide receiver.
Exactly. Let's run out, block that guy. Run out, block that. Run a post. The verbiage, like I said, can be translated to a universal football language. It's really not that complex. It's just another feather in the cap of John Fox and company and their use of personnel. Watch, the kid won't even be dressed this week. This is the kind of stupidity that we have to get away from, that I'll be the first one to tell you that I did not expect this from this coach, but it was clear to me after year 2 we were in a worse position than Mark Trestman was because our offense is regressing in a passing league. Now you need targets, and your best receiver right now isn't getting reps, and your other receivers getting overlooked like it didn't even accomplish anything. Your best receiver is right. Your second best receiver clearly is Trey McBride, which you might have something here, and then next week he won't get a target, and that's an offensive coordinator's personnel issue. You saw plays downfield with McBride where they use bunches, they get him open because he's fast and athletic, and all of a sudden those plays will disappear. This should not happen in the NFL, but somehow consistently being stupid is the only consistency you get from your offensive coordinator as well as your head coach. So Ryan Pace is going to have to do something, and I was praying that he was going to get T.Y. Hilton, and they did get me. I got fooled by that.
Me too. I almost lost my car.
Yeah, I freaking screamed out in my office like, yes, you son of a bitch. Finally, you listen to the Bears bar room. You got to get that kind of talent, but it didn't happen. I'm disappointed that they didn't make a trade at the wide receiver position on top of Inman. One isn't enough. 8 wasn't enough in the 80s. 1 isn't enough now. So I really think that position is going to be a focus. I absolutely love that kid from Oklahoma State, Washington. He's somebody that I just recognize, like a Godwin last year, that when the ball's up in the air, they're going to find it and track it. That's what your quarterback needs, and go high point it. That's what he's missing here in Chicago.
Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley.
The next tweet question comes from our lady Chris Armstrong, who I gotta say I am now. It's appointment reading for me on Sunday afternoons after the Bears game. She writes a story that is so visceral. You know, she is just speaking on pure emotion of what she just saw for the last 3.5 hours about the Bears game. Her last story was called "Bears Offense Needs an Enema," and that exactly tells the style of writing that she brings to the bar. And really appreciate it, Chris. She's got a question here, guys. Do you think that Fox will open up the playbook for Biscuit? And I got to tell you, I think that the answer to this is pretty clear. He isn't going to do it until he is convinced, 100% convinced that it will help him win the game, because he is not at all concerned with the development of Mitch Trubisky. He is only concerned with keeping his job. You got anyone disagree with me on that one?
No, I don't at all.
I agree with you.
And I know there's a lot of fans out there that don't want to hear that, and everybody will say at the end of the day the win is the most important thing. And ether me on Twitter if you don't agree with this. Fire away. I can take it. The W's aren't the most important thing at this point. We've said this over and over. Getting Mitchell Trubisky the development that he needs is going to be what pulls this franchise out of the doldrums. Like I said, I hate to refer to the fucking Philadelphia Eagles because I can't stand any part of them.
Oh, Jesus.
But
this kid is a Philly fanatic.
Yeah, it's true, though. They're doing it right.
I thought I was the only Philly you loved.
Yeah, you're a little too short for me. But, no, Wentz threw over 600 passes last year. And Aldo, I think you referred to it. We'd have to, how many games would Mitch Trubisky have to play in this year for him to reach that 600 mark? He'd have to play in 34 games or something like that at this point. But it's true. Unfortunately, John Fox isn't committed to developing Mitch Trubisky. He's committed to himself, and it's not for the greater good of the Chicago Bears fans or the franchise moving forward. The most important, piece in this whole puzzle is number 10. And we're getting the short end of the stick on that because we're seeing them strip everything down so much. And we only have to look back at the Baltimore win where you saw Mitch Trubisky take the podium, and we referred to it before, where he sounded like he didn't sound like he was a broken kid, but he sounded like he just lost the Super Bowl. He got up there and it was a win. He wasn't really happy with the way that things went. And it pisses me off to see it because we all know that there's going to be lumps along the way, but we're all willing to take those lumps. We're going to ride this roller coaster ride. But at this point, we're not even making the ascent up the mountain with how they stripped everything down so much. But it's unfortunate to see, and I really don't expect John Fox to change at all unless there's a mandate from Ryan Pace or George McCaskey to say, no, enough is enough. We got to get this kid ready for 2018 and beyond, open things up and let him make the mistakes and let him grow from those mistakes.
I think that it's disappointing because you saw him do it with Matt Barkley, of all people. And a coach actually said this to me. He's like, do you think there's some discontent between Fox and Dowell Loggins because Fox just doesn't believe in Dowell Loggins and ultimately wants to get rid of him? And in thinking about the situation, if the calls are Fox being ultra conservative, or if it quacks like a duck, I say it all the time, and waddles like a duck, it is a duck. The questions of situational play calls and use and formation usage has been throughout Dowell's time as the Bears offensive coordinator has been horrific and predictable. So the continuous cohesiveness has always been a problem with the offensive coordinator. Now he's hamstrung because you would have hoped that he'd at least do some of the things I talked about on Bears Hour Live with trading and motioning and running the spread offense that would help a young quarterback. You saw John Fox do this with McCoy and Tim Tebow, and I believe Trubisky's much more talented as a passer and an athlete than Tim Tebow was. You saw the offense change to the player. Why isn't it happening now? And really, it beckons back to what Aldo's saying. The only right answer could be that he's just wanting to not turn over the football to keep his job and keep his team in games, because when they did open it up with Mike Glennon, the shitstorm fell. And when they did that with Matt Barkley, it happened again. So the level of trust should have been this coaching staff fired last year, new staff. Who knows? You could have had McVay over here and things would have changed. Offensive minds need to be here. That's why Jim Harbaugh's number one on my list, followed by McDaniels, and really look at those kind of offensive guys that are going to bring toughness and an evaluation for that position, number one. It's not happening, as Shane said, and it's completely and utterly disgusting to me at this point. And if they go out on Sunday, actually we have to wait 2 Sundays now. So this Sunday and the next Sunday. If they go out after 2 weeks, Aldo, this is breaking news here. If they go out in 2 weeks' time of game planning to play the Green Bay Packers, and they're coming out in 3 tight end sets with that fullback running the same goddamn fucking ISO play, where we are going to have some sort of action taking. It really, Bears Bar Girl from Canada is going to have to get a posse of Canadians down here to take over this football team, because I can't tell you how livid I'm going to be on Bears Hour Live that Monday night if they come out and show those tight formations. ISO right. Let's run the stretch play with Compton missing a block. It's just gotta stop. It's gotta stop. It's the David Hall of head coaches. That's who he is.
Hey, Phil, we at this point in the season, we all know how inept and knew how inept Mike Glennon was as a quarterback, but he played 4 games. Mitch Trubisky has played 4 games. I was just looking at some numbers here. Mike Glennon has thrown the ball 60 more times than Mitch Trubisky. 60.
Holy
and
cow.
Now
that's a great stat.
Yep.
Now think about how many more games, if they continue on this trend, how many more games is it going to take Mitch to make up make up those 60 passes?
Fucking Pat O'Donnell has a fucking attempt.
Yeah, no, but think about that.
You're right, though. You're 100% right.
You could be talking another 3, 4, 5 games before he hits that 60 mark to match how many passes that Mike Glennon had on him. More than him. It's just there's no rhyme or reason to it. We're repeating ourselves over and over, just like this offensive coaching staff is repeating the errors over and over and over again.
And laughing about it. So,
yeah.
See, if I was in the member of the media, and I have been, unfortunately, I was wearing a Bears hat, so I guess that, unknown to me, is grounds for dismissal. So the tough questions that I was asking didn't sit well with Lunch with Larry Land, who wants to be a fucking wide receiver coach, and Brad Fat Ass Biggs. So this media, and the only guy I can count on, I'm going to send him a shout out right now. I don't know if that's all right.
Go for it.
Adam Hogue.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's the only one I really could say has a semblance, and not a stupid little geeky fuck, but a real semblance of the passion of question. You need to question these guys and agitate them to the truth, because it's so stupid. That kicker answer, honestly, I just can't even fathom a person standing up there thinking their shit doesn't stink at all more than Coach Fox answering the Connor Bar. It is what it is. No, it isn't. It isn't. It isn't. It isn't okay. In what world is this okay? And that media needs to be on him. They harass Ditka, for God's sake. They need to do the same thing with this pompous asshole. I'm fired up tonight.
I know. I love it. And let me tell you something. The media's responsibility, whether it's in politics, in sports, in entertainment, is not to do this. It's not to blow them. It's to be it's to be adversarial. It's to ask the tough questions. It's to challenge people. Even sometimes you even ask a question that you're kind of wrong about, but you want to challenge the coach or the player or whoever. And if the coach or the player or whoever can't take it, then that's their problem. The responsibility of the media is always to be adversarial. Ask the tough questions. You're absolutely right, Phil. You know, when we see that too much of that in the Chicago media, and there are some fine exceptions. So I'm not gonna throw stones at everybody, but there are some people of the Chicago media who are afraid of losing their credentials at Hallis Hall, or I don't know what the hell it is. They're just not getting it done. All right, listen, I gotta say something here because. Every time something happens to me personally, I'm now compelled to talk about it on this show. But I have been fired from my job as throwing raps to the segment Bear Up, Bear Down. And, hey, I didn't really want the job. It just sort of happened. But fine, I've been replaced. The good news about it is that I heard what Phil came up with in replacement, and this is pretty awesome. We're going to move up to Bear Up, Bear Down with our new special introduction. Phil, you want to say anything about this before I roll it? No? Okay, good.
No, let it roll.
All right.
That's the smartest thing you've ever said, Phil.
It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. A bear up, bear down. It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. A bear up, a bear down. It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. A bear up, a bear down. It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. A bear up.
This week, Draft Dr. Phil and Shane Marsaw, the smartest man in the bar rooms. Bear ups and bear downs of the week.
A bear up, a bear down. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. They're watching the tape and weighing. The game is done. The Bears have lost and won. They're playing the tape and grading. Bear up, bear down. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. They're watching the tape and weighing. The game is done. The Bears have lost or won. They're playing. The boys are grading. Cheeto blockies, I take them out like my girlfriend. Smack 'em, flip 'em, and stick 'em until you can't bend. Till then I'm still, I got hype credential. Barflies, born out fraud, brothers like Nintendo. 5'7" kind of a small one, but I still store bumps. Keep suckers in doldrums. As I'm speaking and singing and changing my English, I quickness to get rich. I like chalk, but not chips. Connecticut in the house, but the bar room's where I live. I'll bear up, bear down. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. I'll bear up, bear down.
This is another fulfilling, funkified track.
Yes, yes.
I don't really know if we need to do anything else other than that. I think we just go home and sing that tune all the way home. That was pretty awesome, Phil. Congratulations again.
It's fun and good hook when your sons, who are 3, can't stop singing it.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
I couldn't wait to get it mixed down and get out there to my boys tonight. Shane hadn't heard it, so we kind of surprised him tonight.
Yeah.
You have your own song, Shane.
Oh my God, I know. Jeez. I don't even know. I'm kind of speechless over here. I'm functified still.
There you go. Functified.
The bad part about it is that we're never ever going to see Phil analyze any more tape because he's going to be in the studio mixing more Grammy-winning tracks for us. That's pretty awesome. All right. Let's.
We're making an LP, Aldo. The Bears Barroom LP.
Oh man, hey, do you got any?
We're gonna write some more songs. I'm inspired. Bears Girl.
And Aldo, you're not on it.
No, Aldo's getting his own song.
You don't want me to sing though?
I got some verses for. I know Bears Girl. I saw. She said, as long as I write it, you could do it, and I'm sure Sandy Tom will agree.
Who said that? Bears Girl?
Yeah. I saw the tweet tonight. The Barflies have united and spoken, so
she must want
we're
something
gonna have
for
fun.
me to say that.
That's our goal for the whole. So now, Barflies, you gotta listen in every week because I'm gonna either surprise you or Aldo is with a song because we're going to try to get him out there at least every 2 weeks. You got to give me some time making these masterful hooks. Jay-Z's calling.
No shit. That really is fantastic stuff. Really, really fantastic. All right. We are, man, I think we're over 2 hours already. I said that we weren't going to go 3 hours, but maybe we will.
The extended version.
Who wants to start first?
Shane. I think it's Shane's turn this week.
All right, Shane, are you going bear up or bear down?
I can go with the song's bear up, bear down. So you want me to do my bear up first?
Go for it.
Okay, yeah. I had it narrowed down to 2 guys, and I know where my partner in crime is going to go here. So I'm going to leave him his boy on the offensive side of the ball, a certain wide receiver, I think, where he's probably going to go. But I'm going to throw some more love to Danny Trevathan. This guy just continues to really amaze me week after week, and I think we're seeing the investment that Ryan Pace made into this guy, really why he did make that investment. He just seems to be everywhere on the football field, and I cannot get out of my head that this injury that he came back from, I mean, there was a legitimate shot that we weren't even going to see Danny Trevathan until this point right now in the season, maybe coming off the PUP list and rounding back into shape. And it's a testament to the man. It's a testament to his work ethic. And we see him not only just making tackle after tackle. I think he had 13 or 14 tackles versus New Orleans. He's knocking balls loose. He's intercepting balls. I think he's considered a team leader on this defense. He's won a Super Bowl. So I think guys look up to him that way also. But it just seems like week after week after week, we're seeing something more positive about Danny Trevathan, and it's really fun to watch because I said this, he's not this big imposing figure, but he's just a football player at the end of the day, and I think he ends up getting overlooked nationally or by just the common fan that doesn't take the time to review game film. And I know Phil can attest, or he can own up and tell me if I'm wrong or not, but Danny Trevathan, when you're reviewing the game, you see him every single snap, it seems like, on defense. And it's really amazing where he has come from. Like I said, coming back from that torn patella tendon, that's in a lot of cases ended careers. And for him to get back so quick, like I said, it's really a testament. And he is my bear up, Danny Trevathan.
Nice.
Excellent choice. I just hope that he's not suspended for PEDs. I mean, if something like that were to happen, I swear I would come on this show and just start crying, but it wouldn't be fake tears. It would be real tears. Real Danny T. All right, brother Phil, what do you got for us?
It's funny because Shane, that was the guy that I was harboring. It's so good that this kid's kind of prophetic. He's taking over my role, Mamo. Because I honestly, I would easy layup would be Jordan Howard on his birthday. And honestly, Jordan, he probably deserves this, but Shane read my mind after he took Danny Trevathan. I just look over at what the offensive coordinator is doing, the adversity, and everything that's transpired. And I see Trey McBride going out there making plays for a young pass catcher. And really, ultimately, here's the guy that I had highly rated based on his athleticism and the tape of his college career, goes to the Titans. The story's pretty known that he didn't take to their coaching and their playbook, kind of gets humbled, gets cut, comes over to here, and really has been a pleasant surprise to people. And when you watch the tape, he's working his routes, he's gaining leverage, doing and being where he's supposed to be, and it's not like it hasn't been consistent. He did it against the Vikings in Mitchell's first start, got screwed over on the OPI, got screwed over on a holding call against Whitehair, would have been a 27-yard game. So he's been really your most consistent weapon down the field. But really, I want to give him more props for coming in motion, being the wing, and coming back. And really, I know I've been lax. I've been so busy, guys, not putting up the kind of tape that I normally do for Bears Barroom. And Trey McBride puts his face into defensive linemen and linebackers in order to spring plays in some of these crazy predictable calls. Trey has done it several times on tape where he's blocking his man through the whistle and getting the low man wins. So every little thing you do is magic, according to Sting. And I believe Trey McBride's taking those baby steps forward for the Chicago Bears, and he is my Bear up this week.
I love the choice. Love the choice. Very, very good. All right. Unfortunately, we have to move to Bear Down, and I don't know. I hate to throw rules at you guys, but we got to lay off the coaches on Bear Down because it's just becoming too damn easy.
A bear up, a bear down. Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around.
I love that, man. I love that. You know what? I will gladly trade in the tape analysis for more Draft Dr. Phil reps. Well done.
How about we add another lyric to it? Bear up, bear down. It's Draft Dr. Phil and the smartest man around. Let's get John Fox the fuck out of town. Anyway.
Hey, did you see that new lyric that I wrote on Sunday after the Bears lost? It was
no, tell us it.
It was something like fire John Fox, giant fire. Oh, shit, I can't even fucking rap. 2 beers. Fire John Fox, and fire fucking Dow Loggins 2 or something like that. All right, I'll make sure to cut that out.
Very original.
Someone else wanted a Fire Dowell song.
Yeah.
I'm going to start taking requests.
Kevin Schrader, who writes for the Bar Room too.
There you go, Kevin.
And I responded back to him and said, maybe that should be like a country song, like a really sad country song.
Well, Shane will have to sing that one.
There you go, Shane. No. All right, Shane, who do you got?
Bear down.
I am going to take, I've had this player on my Bear Down list before, but I'm going to we're 2 hours and 24 minutes into this show tonight, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Connor Barth, our field goal kicker. Fuck you. Get off my team.
Go away.
I'm done with you.
Go away.
You're a shitty field goal kicker. Ryan Pace,
Go away.
wake the fuck up.
Go away.
You should be
Go
auditioning
away.
kickers every day
away.
during this bye week.
Go away.
Get somebody else different
Go
in here.
away.
Go
away.
I've never seen a field goal kicker that I just have it doesn't matter if it's a 17-yard field goal or 24-yard field goal, a 42, 48, 54. I have no confidence in the guy. Zero. And the fact that he's on the team right now at this point is baffling, and that's one huge red mark on Ryan Pace with me. I don't understand it at all. They should be auditioning kickers constantly. So Connor Barth, you're my bear down. Get the fuck off my team.
Go away. Go away.
And Shane,
Go away.
John Fox is asked from the media about Connor Barth, and he says, it is what it is. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, he stopped the sentence short. It is what it is. He fucking sucks. We need a new field goal kicker. That's really what he should have said. But I mean, it's just Connor Barth is inept like John Fox. They're a match made in heaven. It's John Fox is who he is. He's a conservative football coach, and Connor Barth is a shitty field goal kicker. Man. Get them both out of here.
I agree with that.
I totally agree.
Phil, who do you
disgusting.
got?
Bear down. My bear down player was mentioned on this show before by the Godfather. And when you watch tape and you get into looking at the dynamics of what they're asking the offense to do, this guy jumps out with his inconsistency and something that he's supposed to be doing tremendously, and that's have technique and follow through. He's not having, and my bear down this week is Dion Sims, who at the point of attack is getting manhandled and really blown up into the backfield, missing blocks. There's a naked boot where he's supposed to be the target. Instead of making himself apparent, he's standing there, and Mitchell ends up throwing it to him. He catches it, but track the quarterback. Make yourself known. Make yourself wide. Do something. His play has been up and down. He had the great catch at Baltimore. There's just been no consistency from him at all. And when it comes to where your bread and butter is, he's being a detriment to the running game by missing and whiffing terribly against Suggs, and then again this week in New Orleans. So Dion Sims, short of time, you are my bear down.
Boo! You suck!
Very well done. Listen, guys, like Shane said, we are way past bedtime here. It's like 11:30 out East Coast where you guys are at. I've got 4 hours of editing ahead of me. Actually, probably I probably can just put this show out as is. I mean, what we did here tonight, I am so proud of. You guys just brought it. And Phil, the music that you're doing the soundtrack for the Bears Bar Room. It's unbelievable. The commentary by both of you, by the smartest man, unreal. And the Bears Barflies, I mean, you guys just make it all happen with your insight, with your encouragement, with your tweets, with your love. I mean, it is great. I want to do some shout outs today. Let's see. I got a little list going. First of all, I gotta give it up to Frankie Myers, who is going to start writing for us. He's been an active participant in our Bears Hour Live chat room on Monday nights, and I invite all of you people who listen to 100 Proof, stop on by the Bears Hour Live chat room. It's on MixLR. I always have the link up on Twitter and Facebook the night of the taping. There's just a lot of great interaction going on, and during the course of last Monday's recording or live broadcast, Frankie started writing some stuff, and I was like, dude, you need to write for the Bar Room. And so lo and behold, this weekend he's writing a piece that is going to be pretty tremendous. And he wrote to me something that I wanted to share with you guys. He said, he said, I found the email to log into the website, and I also may have found a Russian wife while I was at it. So I'll be spending the majority of Saturday researching and writing, so I'll let you know if I need some help. And then I wrote back, hey, if you're going to marry a Russian wife, I suggest you spend more time than Saturday researching her. And then he wrote back, I told my girlfriend this joke and she was not amused. So I want to send out a shout out to Frankie and his girlfriend. It was just a joke. We love you all. And I want to send out,
Jesus, stay away from those European girls, Frank.
And I want to send out a shout out to all of the people who have been participating in our video of Firefox. I've got some great video that we're going to edit all this together, and it's going to be pretty sensational. And Bears Girl sent something. Trey Busy sent something. Phil's daughters are going to be on the video. We've got Isaiah Robles is going to be on the video. We got some really, really cool stuff. And I think I mentioned earlier in the show, Lady Love, we love you for everything that you do for the Bar Room, for the interaction online, and we're really sorry that the Dodgers lost for you. I could just feel the hurt in your tweets, and nobody wants to go through that with their favorite team. Those are my shout-outs. Phil, do you have some shout-outs?
Oh, yeah. I have David Haley, good fan of the show, always pumping in. You took Isaiah Robles, he's always in. Raphael Tucker,
there you go.
Going down to New Orleans, pumping Fire John Fox on the airplane.
That was awesome.
You gotta love guys like that.
Yep.
George T. Ray, one guy that I keep forgetting to freaking shout out, who's a big listener, always waiting for the Bears Bar Room podcast to drop, is EJ Jones.
Yeah.
EJ, big fan of the Bears Bar Room, big listener. Appreciate you, EJ. Scar, New York, always shouting us out. How about Mr. Conrad? Daryl Conrad, always trying to drop in some conversations we should talk about, giving ideas. B. Diddy at Quinn 34, big fan. James Ford, guys that come. Big Bear, Tony Mihailovich over in Russia. Benjamin Gula, how could we not forget about my paisan? Frankie Myers, hey, how you doing? Kurt wants to hire me as the coach. How could I not shout out hire Phil? And obviously Bears Girl. There's so many of you. I don't want to miss you. Mikey Glennon, not the original, not the knee fumble, but Mikey Glennon on Twitter. And Raul Bennington and Albero, always bringing it. And my boy moved back from Chicago. Last shout out, Cal. Best of luck to you back going into California. And we appreciate you guys really supporting the show, retweeting it. Send Aldo your video of you singing Fire John Fox. Any lyric, whatever, just send it to him.
Bobbing your head
we'll get
up and
you
down.
in the music video.
Exactly. Listen.
John Bradley too. I want to shout him out. He was in my notes. Big John across the pond, always helping out the Bears Bar Room.
You're going to start rapping all these shout-outs pretty soon. We're not going to be able to stop him, Shane.
By accident.
Shane, you got a final thought to share with people?
Yeah, fuck Dustin. I haven't got that in the show yet, so I'll just throw that out there.
Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
Say you're quick. All right, that's our show. Make sure you visit bearsbarroom.com. We've got lots of great stuff. We've got a new ad coming out soon that I am really excited about for Bears Bar Room Radio Network. And remember, if you drink, please do not drive, and always Bear down.
Bear down.
It is what it is, John Fox. Motherfucker.
Where's Dustin?
He's in Miami.
Dustin, we got a job waiting for you over here writing for BearsBarroom.com. When are you going to show up?
I know. When's he showing up, this kid?
I think he's holding out for more money.
How is AC not in the video? I'm so disappointed to hear that she hasn't sent a video from Alabama.
That poor girl, she's got Mississippi State getting the shit kicked out of them. Dodgers. She's a Bears fan. Jeez, poor girl.
Lady Love, you got to send us at least a photograph I can pop into this video. So
she's got to sing Fire Jump. Just say it at the screen, AC.
There you go.
Is there anybody else that should be in the video that's like Sandy Tom?
Sandy.
Yeah, you gotta get him.
Sandy.
How could he not be in the video?
Well, but okay, I appreciate that you brought up Sandy, but let's start with the hot chicks first.
Oh, El Jefe. Our old friend Jefe. He's got to make a comeback on Twitter. So,
he does, man.
Where is Jefe?
I don't know. Was he in Puerto Rico during the storm or something?
I don't know. I sent him a DM here a couple weeks ago, making sure everything was all right, and he said he was just kind of laying low and enjoying the season, not dealing with the drama on Twitter. So
drinking the Modelo.
The Modelo, yep.
Can't blame him. Hopefully he's listening to the show. Jefe, if you're out there, we love you, and you have an open invitation to stop by the show and talk with us.
Could we get Hila in the video?
I can try like hell. She is,
even if she's just giving the middle finger, it'll work. Aldo is an Emmy-winning producer.
Two Emmys.
It's her birthday yesterday, and I posted a picture of her on Facebook and told her how much I loved her and appreciated her. And Jesus, you would have thought I ran over our son the way that she reacted to that. She hates social media so much. But
really?
Oh yeah, she's not a fan of social media at all. She's very, very, very private.
So
but I'll try my best. If I come up missing, you'll know what happened.
So
we can't find you. We know what happened.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
We can get Dean Blandino in the video.
I love that idea.
Anybody from another country, you're involved in this video. I want you in the Firefox video, even if you're at the end where Aldo puts all the spoofs. We need you in the video.
Absolutely. And let me ask you guys a question. If you had like a wish list, like of a celebrity or someone, you know, that's fairly well known, like Greg Gabriel, for instance, wouldn't you love to see Greg Gabriel in our video?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Awesome.
Saying Firefox.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or even flashing the finger at Hallis Hall or something like that.
That would be great. Get him in. Can you get Lauren Cox in the video?
Oh my gosh, Lauren Cox. I think he's forgotten about us, man. I think
we got to get some of those political yard signs made up, and we got enough friends in Chicago. We can, with the driveway going down into Hallis Hall before the security gate, just pop a couple of those. Political signs in there.
That's a great idea.
Get some pictures.
A great idea, this guy.
He's
smart. He's the smartest man in the room.
All right, I got that. I wrote it down, bro. We will
actually go right downtown to where Waddle and Sylvie are, and put one right in their big window where they're broadcasting.
Can you get it on a pole though? Like, what's his name from Oklahoma? Like, stomp there, Aldo, and put the Bears Barroom flag like right in front of them while they're broadcasting, and be like, fire John Fox. Then have your big giant boombox and just start playing the song right outside the door over and over. This would be tremendous.
Somebody's going to jail, I think, on that one.
Oh, I love that idea. That idea about the political signs and the big boom box. I got to make that happen somehow.
Dude, we got to do it. $50 to a crackhead. It's done.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. My brother said he'll do it for 25.
There you go. It could tie right in now. They get that political sign, go down to Waddle and Sylvie, and you can put it in the window.
It's got to be... Dude, can we get Mike Brez to do it? Dude, in the window, Brez.
Someone please spell this word for me. Innuendo.
Innuendo.
I'm asking you, Michael. I know you've been absent. I don't know where you are.
Yeah, I don't
Can
know what
you go
to
down, play the Firefox song for Bears Bar Room in the window of Waddle and Sylvie? That would be classic.
He's got to be a supporter of the movement, right, Mike Brez?
I hope.
I mean, he's not.
Has anyone heard from him? Is he with?
I don't know.
The Modelo?
Frankly, I muted the guy a long time ago.
Where's Mario? Mario Cuomo? Where's he?
Oh God! Well, get me started on Mario today.
Governor Cuomo.
The governor.
Somebody asked me my opinion on Josh Gordon, so I gave it, and Mario said I was butthurt.
We definitely got to find a sponsor for this because I think we could do this every day if we were made for it.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh my God, with these.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
The best show on fucking... It's the #1 Bears podcast in the world.
Yeah, well, I think we can safely advertise it as the best 3-hour Bears podcast show.
That's right.
In America.
It's prestige worldwide. Boats and hoes right here. We love
Hell
it.
Yeah. We got limos, hoes, and
Nutella.
Nutella. Critical of Nutella. Canada. Scotland.
Hey, Lauren.
Ireland.
Lauren, if you're listening to this, and I bet you're not because you're still with that girl, and I know what you're doing right now, but you got an open invitation to come back and join us for.
Well, we don't need him on there. She was fun to talk to. She fit right in.
Oh, we should get her on.
I would love to.
She follows me on Twitter.
Oh, really?
There you go. Yeah, we'll talk to her and we won't even tell Lauren about it.
We'll be like, screw Lauren.
Yeah, she'll be all like, I fucking hate Locked On. I love the bar room.
Can you imagine that?
Oh, that
Turn her into a barfly.
She probably doesn't even like Nutella.
If they're still listening to this show right now, it's gold. These are after the end music outtakes.
I gotta tell everybody that on our DMs on Twitter, I sent 3 photographs after Lauren said something about how much he loves Nutella. I sent 3 pictures.
Oh, God damn.
2 of them of diarrhea and the third one of Nutella. And I asked them, tell me which one is the Nutella. And nobody could guess it correctly. Not even Lauren, who eats this shit by the pounds.
On beef. On beef.
Oh, my God.
He puts Nutella on beef.
Oh, my God. That's
so bad.
That's childhood abuse that happened. He hasn't talked to a counselor yet. All right.
So funny.
Maybe whoever was raping him as a child was using it as a lubricant.
Oh no.
I love you, Lauren.
Oh no, you didn't.
All right, I gotta go, guys.
All right.
See you later, guys.
Take care.
All right, boys. That was great.
Good stuff. Thanks. Bye.
Have a good night.
Someone please spell this word for me. Innuendo.